Welcome to Salesology, conversations with sales leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. When you're ready to transform your sales for today's transforming market, we've got you covered with your host, the queen of cold calling and founder of Salesology, award-winning author, speaker, sales trainer, and coach, Wendy Weiss.
Hi, welcome to Salesology, conversations with sales leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. And I'm your host, Wendy Weiss. I am the founder of Salesology and creator of the Salesology prospecting method. And I'm also known as the queen of cold calling. Today, my very special guest is Nick Caruso. He is the co-founder and chief revenue officer of KnowledgeNet.ai. And Nick's career has spanned over 20 years in the tech startup sector. And it's distinguished by his innovative use of AI across national security, financial services, and Fortune 1000 companies. And his early endeavors in the early 2000s through strategic collaborations with the U.S. intelligence community via IQT, and I'm going to ask him about that, demonstrated his commitment to employing state-of-the-art technology for critical national security initiatives. And this early work laid the groundwork for his later projects. He launched KnowledgeNet.ai in 2019, and in doing so, he capitalized on his extensive experience to delve into organizational data analysis. His vision with this venture is to enable companies to unearth and exploit intellectual capital via internal and external networks, propelling business development. So welcome, Nick.
Thank you, Wendy. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And let's begin at the beginning, because that's always where I begin. Give us the backstory. How did you come to be the co-founder and chief revenue officer of KnowledgeNet.ai?
Sure. So it's I'll try and be relatively quick. That bio you read off was great. As the bio said, I did start my life in the U.S. intelligence community, basically right after 9/11. And Wendy, just to give you, kind of your readers an understanding, how much data do you think is collected, or how often, the amount of all the data that U.S. intelligence collects, how fast do you think we can fill the Library of Congress with all of that data? Like all the data, is it like every month it's equivalent to that amount of data is equivalent to the month of the amount of information in the Library of Congress, or does it take a year to fill up the Library of Congress? Like how much data do you think it takes?
I think they're building installations on a daily basis to store it all.
Yeah, it is unfathomable the amount of data we're collecting. And I'm dating myself. I've been out of the community now for almost 20 years, but this was back 20 years ago. And we were capturing enough data to fill the Library of Congress every hour. Now, when you're capturing that much data, think about how much processing you need, how much technology you need to filter that data. And back then, we were looking for the bad guys. We were looking for, Al-Qaeda, the terrorists, where they are, who's talking to whom, et cetera. And so I was involved in the technology that was trying to sift through all of that data. And then, so when you think about it, do companies today have a lot of data?
Yes.
Right? So where does that data exist today in a company? So where is information about your customers stored right now, as an example?
Too often on an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, great. So Excel's one place, right? And where would the next ideal place be that they're storing their customer data?
Oh, some kind of CRM. Sometimes it's in their accounting software. Sometimes it's in project management software.
Yep. And so we call that structured data. It's organized. Even in Excel, you've got your columns and your rows, right? And then you're in your CRM systems like your Salesforces or your Pipedrive or whatever. And then there's unstructured data about your customers. And have you heard that term before, unstructured?
Not in the way I think you are using it. So why don't you explain it?
Yeah. Do you think there's a lot of data in emails?
In emails and salespeople's heads?
In their heads, right? Yeah, in their emails and their heads. And then now, what's like, I use a tool called Firefly to record all of my meetings. There's lots of other tools out there. There's a tremendous amount of great knowledge in those transcriptions of those meetings that you're having with your customers and so forth. And so think about all the data, all that knowledge that's surrounded in your organization, similar to what the US intelligence community has a ton of data. How do you, as a small business or a large business, effectively harness that data to find new customers, new opportunities to help build your business? Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. How do you do it?
Yeah, so that's exactly what KnowledgeNet.ai is all about. So I've fortunately, since I've been in the U.S. intelligence community, you referenced IQT. IQT references it's a venture capital company called In-Q-Tel. They specifically invest in startups to help the U.S. intelligence community. But I was part of some very successful startups that were In-Q-Tel portfolio companies, and then I just rinse and repeat. And so a few years ago, we started KnowledgeNet.ai, and that's our latest prospecting efforts. I've been in sales for about 20 years. And I have so many scars on my back. I'm like a weathered person with all of this stuff, that experiences that I've had. So I built a product called KnowledgeNet.ai that really tries to make a salesperson and a sales manager a lot easier by just making it easier to harness that knowledge. And the biggest thing you can do is help top of funnel, help grow that pipeline business. So how do we do it? We do a couple things. Our product can integrate with your emails and your meetings. So it automatically analyzes your emails and your meetings to surface knowledge out of those for a variety of different purposes. One of them is to build top of funnel, right? So what do I mean in as an example? So Wendy, do you have a website?
GoSalesology.com.
Great. And if people are visiting the website, can you tell, without them filling out any form data, can you tell who's visiting your website?
We should be able to, and I don't look at it often enough.
Great. Yep. So there are siloed applications out there that might tell you, as an example, you're familiar with an IP address, right?
Yes.
That will tell you someone from that IP address visited your website. And a lot of times from that IP address, you can deduce the company that is visiting your website, right? So imagine if whoever is visiting your website, which company, you can use KnowledgeNet to automatically state, has anybody in my company had any meetings or emails with that company, or are they in my CRM? If they're a brand new company that no one's interfaced with, automatically find the buyer personas to see if they fit my ideal customer profile, surface those contacts, and either forward them to sales to automatically reach out, or drop them into a LinkedIn and email sequencing campaign to nurture them and prospect them. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. But what if the person that looks at your website is someone's assistant as opposed to the person you actually would like to interact with?
No, that's perfect. So what we do is we look at, let's say IBM.com visited our website, right? We're automatically, let's say I'm a company that just wants to sell to AI scientists. We sell to salespeople, but let's say I only wanted to sell to AI scientists. Our technology will automatically find the AI scientists in that company, in IBM, because it's a key indicator. It's a buyer intent that somebody at IBM is visiting our website. Therefore, maybe we find the people at IBM that fit that persona, our ideal customer profile, and we engage with them in that sequence. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. So my question, though, is, and I hear this from my clients a lot when they're talking about their sales teams, is they say that the sales team, the people on the sales team, don't actually talk to anybody. They may be doing things on social media. They might be doing something on LinkedIn. Maybe they're sending a bunch of emails, but they never actually have conversations. And this sounds to me like something, while it's good to have this information, it then adds another layer of salespeople not talking to anyone. And to me, you can't sell something if you don't talk to someone.
Yep.
So how do we get past that hurdle of spending all the time in front of your computer, never talking to anyone.
No, you're spot on. So part of the reason why, in my experience, a lot of times salespeople don't want to talk to anybody is because they're terrified of that cold call. They're not good at cold calling. They don't do the right research. They pick up the phone. They sound like dummies, and they just get hung up on, right? And please school me, because you're the queen of cold calling, right? But is what I'm saying resonating? Would you? I mean, you can feel free to disagree with me, but is that a fair statement? What I'm saying?
Yeah, most people don't know what to say, and that keeps them from picking up the phone. There's some other reasons too, but that's a big one.
Right. So what if, and this is exactly what we do, what if when we notify that salesperson saying, IBM just visited the website, we have a strong suspicion that these are the 5 data scientists at IBM that fit your buyer persona. These are the LinkedIn profiles for those 5 data scientists. And here is a suggested email for you to schedule a meeting with that buyer persona and to engage with them on LinkedIn. You can't tee them up better than that, right? And here's the mobile number for you to connect with them. So we can give them all of that information automatically. And we can say no one else in your company has ever engaged with these people. Or we can say, oh, and by the way, you have a LinkedIn connection with this person already.
So please tell me that your your sample email message does not say, I see you just visited our website.
So we work with customers on that, right? But that it's either that, or it can be, I just got notified that someone from your company visited our website. You're trying to say, and this is probably why, you're trying to differentiate yourself from that, right? So you're trying to make it more of a warm, I always like saying like cold calling. I use the term cold calling is dead. And what I mean is I'm not saying don't make the cold calls. I'm saying get rid of the word cold, right? Make it so that it's a warm call, and we arm you with all this information. So I use the website as an example. I'm going to give you a different example now, Wendy, right? So Wendy, earlier today, you sent out a LinkedIn connection request to me, right?
Yes.
I accepted your LinkedIn invitation request. Okay. Guess what happened next? What should I have done after I accepted your LinkedIn connection? Like what would a fantastic salesperson do after they accept a person's LinkedIn connection request?
Well, a fantastic salesperson would probably have looked them up before they sent out the connection request.
Yep.
So, and then try not to send them a spammy message. So say something that's going to get that person interested in having a conversation. I was lucky we already had this interview scheduled.
Right. So we accepted the connection request, right?
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn is all about your network, right? It's all about harnessing the connections in your network and understanding people and so forth, right? So what KnowledgeNet did automatically for me, once I accept your connection request, is it automatically went through your 1,000 connections that you're sharing on LinkedIn, that you're first degree connected to. KnowledgeNet automatically filtered through those 1,000 connections and identified to me, which of them fit my ideal customer profile. So right after we're done with this call, I may reach out to you, Wendy, and I say, Wendy, thank you so much for your time. We had a great podcast. It was a lot of fun. Oh, by the way, I see that you're connected to these 10 people. Any chance you may know them personally? I'd really, really appreciate an introduction. Right?
Yeah, the problem with that is it's unlikely that I'm connected with them personally, given the volume of connections that so many people have on LinkedIn. I don't think that LinkedIn works the way it used to. When it started, you could do that and say, hey, could you introduce me to Nick?
Yep. Yep.
But today it's unlikely. And I also have to say that I personally find you were looking at our website, or somebody from your company was looking at our website, to feel a little creepy. It's like stalky behavior. So
it depends on your target market, right? It depends on the type of people that you're interfacing with.
Okay.
Are you on Facebook at all?
Not really. We do a little bit on Facebook, but I personally am not on Facebook.
Sure. So a lot of social media, do you ever find it uncanny how good they are at surfacing advertisements to you?
Yeah.
Right? And they're using technology to surface insights to you based upon your profile, what websites you're going to, right?
Mm-hmm.
What activity you're doing. Imagine as an SMB company having that same capability that Facebook is using and the big boys are using, but now having that same capability to help grow your business. You're not taking humans out of the equation. You still want sales reps to make the phone call, to pick up the phone, but now they're warm leads. There's context behind, the worst thing in the world, I think, is just I'm going out and I'm going to Zoom Info or some platform and I'm buying a lead list and I'm just dialing one lead after another. To me, that's cold calling. But warm calling gives you, there's so many places to get warm prospects out there to help you better connect those conversion rates when you're trying to build top of funnel.
Yeah, to me, it's all a cold call. Having data is very important, and having a targeted list, even if you got it from Zoom Info or someplace else, it's got to be very micro-targeted. That having that information doesn't serve if you don't have a message that's going to resonate. And that's fundamentally, it's often the problem, is that what that salesperson is saying when they reach out. And by the way, for all the people that manage sales teams, if you have this defined for them, it helps a lot. Because if they're reaching out with a message that doesn't resonate, it doesn't matter that you have data.
Oh, you're spot on. So the human delivering that message and being able to navigate those obstacles, that's absolutely critical. And I'm not taking away from that at all. I mean, that is, and there's little that's going to help them apart from a good sales coach doing a lot of, doing some training with them, doing role playing. I assume that you have a lot of experience doing all of that, Wendy, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's absolutely critical. And then I like to say, as part of that, though, getting them a good start and getting them the right person at the right time. There's nothing better than the right time than somebody that's visiting your website, right?
Correct.
And using that to try and increase the probability and the odds of then when they pick up that phone and make that call. And I like to say it's a warm call. You can say, still call it a cold call. It is a cold call. It's an unsolicited outreach, right?
How about introductory call?
There you go. You're the queen of introductory calls.
Yeah.
Now, one thing we also do, Wendy, which you might find interesting, is have you been playing around with ChatGPT?
Of course. Hasn't everyone?
Yeah, great. So one thing that we also do, because we're all about, I don't like making cold calls and so forth, is we work with sales coaches like yourself that have a methodology, and we train ChatGPT on that methodology, again, to help with that script of that introductory call that's personalized to the individual that the person is calling or reaching out to. Again, I just have so many scars of so much pain over the last 20 years. I'm trying to make every piece of the workflow as enhanced as possible. So I'm making it really easy on the front end to find the people, and then using a methodology like Salesology plus ChatGPT plus this in-depth information about the person to fuse together some information to help the rep make that call.
So we're going to pause now for a word from our sponsor, but when we come back, I want to continue to hold your feet to the fire about using AI to speed up the process, the sales process, manage a sales team, have everybody executing what they need to be executing and doing it well, so that sales growth happens. But now we have a word from our sponsor, the Salesology Vault. Just about every guest that I've interviewed on the Salesology Conversations with Sales Leaders podcast has had a free gift for our listeners, and that includes my special guest today, Nick Caruso. So what we've done is we've taken all of those gifts and we put them all in one place just for you. We call it the Salesology Vault, and it's packed full of free gifts from sales leaders, sales experts, marketing gurus, revenue generation experts, and we add another gift every single week. We release a podcast every Monday, and when we do, we add a gift. So you can log in as often as you'd like and download as many gifts as you'd like. It's all free. The link to the Salesology Vault is in the show notes. So as soon as you finish listening to this podcast, go to the show notes, click on the Salesology Vault link, download your free gifts. You will be glad that you did. And I am back with my special guest, Nick Caruso. He is the co-founder and chief revenue officer of KnowledgeNet.ai. And we are talking all things sales and AI. So how does AI work to speed up and improve the sales process?
Sure. It's that's a 8-hour conversation.
Okay, well let's edit it down a little bit.
So I'll try and chunk it up in lots of different areas. Let's start with just what KnowledgeNet does, and then I'll go into other areas if you're interested in. So in the case of KnowledgeNet.ai, we use AI to accelerate building top of funnel for your sales teams to engage with prospects. So we do that through automation, which I already shared with you. And then when they do have the opportunity to engage, we use AI like ChatGPT, including like with Salesology, to create the most on-target message for that person that you're engaging with. I'll segue here just for a second. So Wendy, in your experience, how many years does a sales rep work at a company, would you say?
Well, according to the data, most newly hired salespeople are gone in 3 years.
Yep.
So the answer is often not long.
Yep. You're absolutely right. And I've seen studies that show the average like 2 to 3 years. So imagine, it takes a year for that sales rep to understand your company, understand your value proposition, understand your competitive features, your unique value, all that stuff, right? And then a year later, they're gone. Right? So you remember I was telling you before about the U.S. intelligence community and all this knowledge and so forth. And then I said, all this knowledge you have within your company.
Yes.
Imagine a brain that understood your company, your value proposition, your capabilities, what your customers find compelling, has read all of your case studies, right? Imagine that brain now automatically servicing and feeding you new leads, but now also recommending to the sales rep what's the best pitch to give to a certain customer. What are the sort of the challenges they should be asking at the start of that meeting? I'm sure you prescribe to meeting prep is really important.
Yes.
Before going into a meeting.
Yeah.
Right. And so you probably in your training give a series of steps that they should be doing ahead of time before the meeting.
Yes.
Right. Imagine all of that having your own research assistant that's automating all of that process and harnessing. It's not just ChatGPT. It's harnessing all that knowledge about your company in order to help that sales rep. So you're leveraging a highly experienced, almost like a mentor for that sales rep that has 20, 30 years of experience in the company, personally for each sales rep. So that's another great example about how AI can help your sales reps. And I always like saying AI, the A in AI is not artificial. The A in AI is augmented or automation. So we're there to help your sales team. So for all the CEOs of SMBs out there who are listening in, or sales managers, we're not here to get rid of salespeople. We're here to make them more efficient, more productive than they are today.
So at what point you're getting all this information, the rep is preparing for the meeting or whatever, using all of this intelligence from however many years that's been gathered. But the first time, doesn't somebody need to look at it and make sure that it actually is accurate?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not artificial. It's for augmenting, right? There's training and feedback loops. But what's fantastic, Wendy, is let's say it gives a recommendation that's not on point and that you want to coach the AI to improve it. Well, guess what? It will learn that now in perpetuity. So we all know when we train sales reps, we're like, well, this is how you, that's why as a sales leader, every year you have to give the same training because every year you have new sales reps, right? So you're repeating yourself every year. But imagine if you didn't have to go through that exercise and you had this mentor. You should still go through that exercise, but you have this mentor here that can help a sales rep individually before every single sales call, do a debrief after every single sales call. And as a manager and as a CEO, you can fully audit everything that's going on.
Well, I love that. Sounds like life would be so much easier for many, many sales managers, people that are running sales teams.
Yeah. And that's exactly where we are today. And we're at the AI revolution, much like there was the Industrial Revolution. We're in the AI revolution space right now. And if you're, there's so many people that are using ChatGPT right now, and we're built on top of ChatGPT, right? So I'm not knocking ChatGPT, but if you're using ChatGPT for your business today, and all you're doing is opening up a window and putting stuff in there, it has no knowledge about you. It has no knowledge about your business. It doesn't have the awareness of every case study you ever wrote, or your competitive value proposition. So you're using a really vanilla assistant. So imagine an assistant now that has full knowledge about your company to really provide some incredible value to your organization.
Well, I like that. I like that a lot. So I know, Nick, you have a gift for all of our listeners. I promised when I did the sponsorship spot. So what is your gift for all of our listeners?
I'm giving free ice cream for a year.
I'm in.
No. The gift is there's going to be a form that people can fill out. I'm providing an extended trial beyond the capabilities that are publicly on our website. But more importantly, is I love helping out people. I love helping out automation, whether it's using my product or not. But it's all around looking at a business problem and accelerating and helping people through that problem. So the form you can fill out, it will give you an extended trial of our platform, but also allow you to book a meeting with me, and I'm happy to work with you to see how I can help you out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And to take advantage of Nick's very generous offer, the link to the form to get your extended trial will be in the show notes. So as soon as you finish listening to this podcast, go to the show notes, click on the link, and get your extended trial of KnowledgeNet.ai. So you can try it out for yourself, and then you can talk to Nick about it.
Perfect.
And Nick, if people want to connect with you, how can people find you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn. You can just search for Nick Caruso at KnowledgeNet.ai, or just go to our website, and it's pretty easy to find me.
Okay. And if you didn't have a chance to quickly jot that down, it's okay, because the website and also Nick's LinkedIn profile, both going to be in the show notes. So if you want to connect with Nick after finish listening to this podcast, go to the show notes, click on the link, and you'll connect with Nick. So you've been listening to Salesology Conversations with Sales Leaders with my special guest, Nick Caruso, who is the co-founder and chief revenue officer of KnowledgeNet.ai. And if you found value in listening to today's podcast, then please think of one business leader, one entrepreneur, one business owner, somebody that you know that you think might also find value in listening to the podcast. And please do share the link with them. And until we meet again, visualize yourself surrounded by cash, really large bills.
You've been listening to Salesology, Conversations with Sales Leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. Be sure to follow so that you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, please leave a rating and review, and be sure to share it with your friends. Tune in every week for more exciting insights and wisdom on transforming sales. And until next time, visualize yourself surrounded by cash, very large bills.